Kyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prema Merita Rupriyan Sakarupan Bhakti Gadan Krishna Prema Pralad Pradan Vajkapatu Vishkya Kripa Sandhubhya Vachapatita Nampavenabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Semate Gogavinda Swami Niti Namine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavats everyone. Vaishkapati Vishya, Kripasadevya Vichapatita Nampavenabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Tatpadam Dashitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya line, many great sadhus have appeared, many great Vaishnava acharyas, many great sadhus. Some listed, some not. For instance, it's listed that Krishna, after Krishna is Brahma, after Brahma is Vyas, and after Vyas is Madhvacharya. However, Vyas had another great personality that he spoke the Bhagavatam to, and that's Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami heard from Sukadeva Goswami. And they were all great personalities. And Sanaka Rishi was the one that questioned Sukadeva Goswami at Naimisharanya about what Sukadeva Goswami said and what was in the Bhagavatam. So, I just want to present a few facts, a few points that our Gurudev, Srila Gogavinda Swami, presented about these different points. And he quoted from the Ujjvala Nilamani, the Skanda Purana, the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata, and the Sri Bhagavat Mahatmya from the Pama Purana of Vyas. And Gurudev would collate all the information and would present it in a class very brilliantly. All I'm trying to do is repeat a few of those words. So, at the end of the Braj Leela, when all the residents of Braj left this world, and Krishna wound up his earthly pastimes, Srimati Radhika had one parrot. And that parrot would sit on her left hand, and with her right hand she would feed that parrot pomegranate seeds. When that whole Braj Leela wound up, that parrot was left here with the order to preach the glories of Sri Sri Radha Krishna and the Bhagavatam. So this parrot is now alone. This is Srimati Radhika's parrot, is now alone, and he's thinking, where do I go? What do I do? Where is the Bhagavatam? Where is my life? And suddenly he hears an aerial voice, and that aerial voice says, if you go to Ekamra Kanana in Utkal, Utkal's now Orissa or Odisha, he says, Lord Shiva is speaking to Srimad Bhagavatam to Parvati. There you will get the Bhagavatam. So, Parvati wanted to hear the Bhagavatam. So Lord Shiva was going to speak, and he was in Ekamra Kanana. Ekamra Kanana means the place of one mango tree. Eka Amra. Eka one, Amra, mango. It's a forest of one giant mango tree. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he says in his commentary in the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata on this point, he says that tree had a 2-mile diameter, 3.2 kilometer diameter. Yeah, diameter. It's a very big tree. Under that tree sat Parvati Devi and Lord Shiva, and he was going to speak the Bhagavatam to her. Prior to speaking, Lord Shiva had chased everyone out. Everyone had to go except Parvati. This recitation of the Bhagavatam was only for her. So this parrot, he heads from Braj straight to Ekamra Kanana. right? And he lands on this giant mango tree on a large branch, and he's looking down. And Lord Shiva is speaking the Bhagavatam to Parvati. And Parvati's thinking, gee, it's very long. By the time he gets to the 10th canto, it's very long. And she was listening and she was going, every time something, in agreement or like that. So finally Parvati fell asleep. And Lord Shiva's still speaking. But the parrot, being a parrot, he was mimicking what Parvati Devi was saying. So he was in a branch going, And, and Lord Shiva saw that Parvati's asleep, and I've chased everyone out, sent everyone away. Who's going, who's making that sound? Then he looked up in the tree, he saw a parrot. And he thought, why is this parrot here? Now, Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi, they are Rudra, Rudrani, Ashutosh, Ashutoshi, means easily pleased, easily angered. He got very angry, he got his Trishula, his trident, chased after that parrot, was going to kill the parrot. Shouldn't be here, right? So the parrot raced all the way to Badarik Ashram and the ashram of Vyas, Samyaprash Ashram. And at that point that parrot got there, Vyas was speaking to his wife, the Bhagavatam, and she was listening and she was going, oh, in agreement. So now Vyasa's wife Vatika is the daughter of Jabali Muni, another great rishi, so many great rishis. And Jabali Muni, his daughter was Vatika, she married Vyas. Vyas was the son of Parasara Muni, who's another great rishi, great sadhu, so many great sadhus having children, right? And that's how you keep the line going, right? Strong line, right? Strong sadhus, right? Having other sadhus, having children that are sadhus. So Lord Shiva chases this parrot all the way to the ashram of Vyas and enters the ashram, and Vyasa's wife Vatika is going, oh, every time Vyasa is speaking, she's going, oh, and this bird flew straight into her mouth and straight into her body and took shelter there. In the interim, Lord Shiva's after this parrot, and Vyas goes outside and sees Lord Shiva. He says, what's wrong? He says, this parrot, I have to kill him. He says, what do you want to kill him? Anyway, he calmed Lord Shiva down, and Lord Shiva went back to Ekamra Kanana and finished speaking the Bhagavatam to Parvati Devi. That Ekamra Kanana Dham, right, that is modern day Bhubaneswar. And that Bhubaneswar is the gateway to the Puri Dham. The Puri Dham, or Sri Kshetra, or after the time of Mahaprabhu, it was called Vipralamba Kshetra, the place of separation. That is the gateway. Bhubaneswar, or Ekamra Kanana, is the gateway to that Puri Dham, and it extends out into the ocean, Chandrabhaga, where the Konark temple is, and the other point is the Puri temple. Right. So that Srimad Bhagavatam recitation of Lord Shiva to Parvati was the first time the Bhagavatam had been spoken. And it was spoken in Ekamra Kanana, Bhubaneswar. And A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada wanted a temple in Bhubaneswar. And he left Srila Gogavinda Swami in charge of that temple, and every day Srila Gogavinda Swami spoke the Bhagavatam. 2, 3, 4, 5 hours every day. So it was first spoken by Shiva to Parvati, then Vyas to his wife. Right? So this parrot lands in the body of Vatika, Vyasa's wife, and won't come out. 12 years later, he still hasn't come out. So Vyasa goes to Dwarka and sees Krishna, and he says, I've got a problem. This parrot entered my wife's body and won't come out. Krishna came and enticed that parrot out. That parrot took birth as Sukadeva Goswami, hence the name Sukadeva. And he was given that order to speak the Bhagavatam and glorify Srimati Radhika and Krishna, and that's what Sukadeva Goswami did. So Sukadeva Goswami, he heard the Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva, he heard it from Vyasa because he was speaking to his wife, and he heard it personally from his father. So the second Sukadeva Goswami took birth, he left home. He's unattached. He's blue, matted locks, 16-year-old boy, no attachment. Right. But and he was a Brahmavadi. Right. Brahmavadi means they understand that the Supreme Absolute Reality is Sri Krishna, but they're attached to that happiness coming from Brahman. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyaya shiksha sasvatasya chidamasya sukha sakrantika shiksha. Krishna says in the Gita to Arjuna, a little bit of happiness coming from that Brahman. So Sukadeva Goswami leaves, his father runs after him, and they come to a pond where there's ladies taking bath. And Sukadeva Goswami, he walks by and the ladies are just still taking bath. But as soon as Vyasa walks by, they all get out and cover themselves. And Vyasa says, well, how come you didn't cover yourself when he walked by, but when I walked by, you covered yourself? And they say, yeah, because he doesn't see the difference, you're seeing the difference. Male, female, he's not seeing that difference. Right? Is totally unaware of this male, female, all these things. Right? So he's a Brahmavadi. There's a difference to a Mayavadi. Mayavadi thinks everything is Maya, but a Brahmavadi, as I said, understands the Supreme Absolute Reality. Krishna is of a transcendental nature, but he's getting happiness from that Brahman. So he's getting a little bit of happiness and he's attached to that. So Srila Vyasa sent out, some say he sent out hunters, some say he sent out disciples, and he gave them a verse to chant. So that verse, as Maharaja just quoted it, says that Krishna is very beautiful, long black, long hair, curly, wavy hair, beautiful lotus eyes, very well-formed nose, beautiful lotus lips, the beauty of Krishna. And Sukadeva Goswami almost breaks his meditation, right? And he goes, no. So then he sends out more disciples, or it's either disciples or hunters, whatever they are, and they quote this verse from the third canto of the Bhagavatam. Aho bhakti yam stanakala kutam jigam saya apya sadvi. It's talking about Putana, and Putana came, she's a witch, right? But she came as a beautiful woman to nurse Krishna. But on her breast was poison. She came to kill Krishna. But Krishna gave her a position as mother. In a previous life, Putana was Ratnamala, right? And Ratnamala was the sister of Bali Maharaj. And in the yajna of Bali Maharaj, when the Supreme Lord came in his avatar as dwarf incarnation, Tribhuvanav, Vamandev. She saw him and she said, I want a son like that. So in the next life she became Putana, and then she got that benediction. So when Sukadeva Goswami heard that verse, he thought, yes, no one can be more merciful than that, Krishna. And that broke his trance. So he's gone from a Brahmavadi, now he's personalist. Right? And there's two other examples of that. The Navayagendras, were Brahmavadis, became personalists, and the four Kumaras were Brahmavadis and became personalists. So Sukadeva Goswami, he's wandering, and he ends up it says in the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami says, in the Kura Jungala countries. And the people in general look at him and they think he's a retarded, dumb, mad person. Well, he's naked, he's blue, he's got matted locks, what's he doing, you know? But when he spoke, when he opened his mouth, they understood this is a self-realized soul. This is not a conditioned soul. This is a great personality. So he ends up in the assembly of Maharaja Parikshit. When Guru Maharaj first told this story, I was on the edge of my mat, you know. I just was wrapped. It was just a brilliant story. I was like, wow. So anyway, he ends up in the assembly of Maharaj Parikshit, and all the sadhus are discussing what to do. And Sukadeva Goswami walks in, and all the sadhus see him. And they understand this is a great personality just by the auspicious markings on his body, samudrika, right? Panchadurga Panchasuksma Saptarakta Saranataha Tri Rasva Pritugambura Dratrim Salakshano Mahan. 32 symptoms of Mahabhagavad, all the auspicious symptoms are on his body. They all stood up. There's only 3 people that didn't stand up. Shakti Avatar Parishuram. He didn't stand up. Vyasadeva, the father of Sukadeva Goswami, he didn't stand up. And Narada Muni, who's the guru of Vyas. And then they said to Sukadeva Goswami, what should Maharaj Parikshit do? He's got 7 days to live. Because he's been cursed, right, by Shringi. Brahmin boy, he's got 7 days to live. And Sukadeva Goswami said, hear the Bhagavatam. Hear the Bhagavatam. Hear the Bhagavatam. Right? Hear the Bhagavatam. So they elected Sukadeva Goswami to speak. And he spoke the Bhagavatam for 7 days, 7 nights, and Maharaj Parikshit listened, didn't sleep, and fasted. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary in the Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, 3rd verse, he says that when Sukadeva Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam, he became the shiksha guru for every single person there, including Vyas and Narada Muni. It's very powerful, 16-year-old boy. So age, neither here nor there. Right? Age is neither here nor there. It's just like when my Guru Maharaj took initiation, probably took first, second and sannyas in less than 6 months. And when he took sannyas, all the big leaders of ISKCON went to Prabhupada and said, oh, he's a new man, why is he taking sannyas? Prabhupada looked at them and said, you are all new men. He's a devotee from his birth. Gauragovinda Swami is a devotee from his birth. You are all new men. So age is neither here nor there. So Sukadeva Goswami, he preaches the Bhagavatam, he speaks the Bhagavatam, he presents the avatars, the activities of the avatars, who the avatar is. The avatars are why Krishna took birth and his parents were Devaki and Vasudeva. He spoke about understanding the movement of understanding time through the movement of atoms. He spoke about so many things. He spoke about the activities of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. He spoke about in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam to Uddhava. So many things. It's like another Bhagavad Gita, but not to Arjuna, to Uddhava. And then he speaks the 12th canto, which is predictions of the Kali Yuga, all these different things. And then he says, and amongst us is Suta Goswami. And when I finish here, he will go to Naimisharanya and he will speak to the sages there. So, and then he says to Maharaj Parikshit, do you have any other questions? And Maharaj Parikshit's, his hairs are standing on end, his body is shaking, he's getting symptoms of ecstasy, and he puts his hands together and he says, I'm totally satiated, I have no other questions. Pays obeisance, worships Sukadeva Goswami, and Sukadeva Goswami does what he usually does, gets up, walks off. He's totally unattached. He's spoken for 7 days, 7 nights, and he's gone. And it's also said he went to Kuvera and spoke to the Yakshas and the Rakshasas. He spoke the Mahabharata and increased it to 1,100,000 verses. So, yeah. So he's a very great personality, Sukadeva Goswami. So the Bhagavatam was first spoken in Ekamrakanana, right? And then it was spoken, Ekamrakanana is Bhuvaneshwar. Then it was spoken by Vyas to his wife, then Vyas to Sukadeva Goswami, then Sukadeva Goswami in the assembly of Maharaja Parikshit to Maharaja Parikshit. Then Suta Goswami heard that and he went and spoke in Naimisharanya, the Bhagavatam. And that's Sunaka Rishi. He questioned him, and sometimes it's even called the Suta Sanaka Samvad. Discussion between Suta and Goswami and Sunaka Rishi. So, and don't forget, don't think there's any gaps in the Sampradaya. There's no gaps. Some are mentioned, some are listed, some are not, but there's no gaps. And one who's not listed is Sukadeva Goswami. Isn't it, Maharaj? He's not listed. No, he's not listed. There's the Bhakti Ratnakara and the Gauragana Desha Dipika. In one of those books he's listed, in the other he's not. And in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's list, he's not listed, but he's a great personality. He's a Paramahamsa. He's just a very great personality. So, and that Bhuvaneshwar, that's a very important place, and that's where the Bhagavatam was spoken. So, the final 4 verses of the Bhagavatam, but Suta Goswami closes off and he says, Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sakshini Yaidam Kripaya Kasmai Vyachakshe Mumukshaye. We offer our obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva, the all-pervading witness, who mercifully explained this science to Brahma when he anxiously desired salvation. Right? So he offers his Dandavat pranams to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he says, Yogindraya Namastasmai Sukaya Brahma Rupeni Samsara Sapadristam Yo Vishnu Ratam Amumchat. I have my humble obeisance to Sri Sukadeva Goswami, best of all mystic sages, and a personal manifestation of the absolute truth. He saved Maharaj Parikshit, who was bitten by the snake of material existence. So he offers his obeisance to Sukadeva Goswami, great sadhu Vaishnava, whom he considers his guru. Then he says, Bhava Bhava Yata Bhakti Padayos Tavajayate Tata Kurishvadevesha Natastram No Yata Prabhu. O Lord of Lords, O Master, please grant us pure devotional service at your lotus feet, life after life. And then he says, Nama Sankirtananya Syasava Papa Pranasanam Pranamo Dukasamanas Tamanamami Harim Param. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari, the congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and offering obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering, and the Bhagavatam ends. Sukadeva Goswami also says, Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsam Ekam Amalam Gyanam Param Giyate. Bhagavatam is topmost scripture, is the crest jewel of all the Paramahamsas, very dear to the Vaishnavas. Right? And Sukadeva Goswami, Jiva Goswami in his Tattva Sandarbha, he says, Bhagavat Sandarbha, no, Tattva Sandarbha, best book is the Bhagavatam. Why? Because one, it gives a full presentation of the Vedanta Sutra, full presentation of the Gayatri, full explanation of the Gayatri Mantra. It's fully accessible in 12 cantos, 335 chapters, 80,000 verses. It's I forget the other two. It's 5 reasons. It's aparushaya, superhuman, and fully in line with our Siddhanta. Therefore, Mahaprabhu said, Ataiva Bhagavata, Etinakoi, Sambandha Abhidaya, Prayojanamoy. Bhagavatam is the best book, Srimad Bhagavatam, Pramanamamalam, best scripture because all throughout is Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojana. Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojana means the science of bhakti, means Krishna, Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema. And Gurudev used to quote this all the time, his Divine Grace Srila Govinda Swami. He said, Veda Tri Tattva Koi. If you can understand these 3 tattvas, these 3 truths, and fully realize them, you will be eternally happy. Otherwise, not. Living in this material world, you must suffer. Dukalayama Sasvatam, must suffer. whether you're rich, poor, fat, thin, skinny, tall, whatever you are, very intelligent, not intelligent, must suffer. But if you can Veda Tri Tattva Koi, understand these three transcendental truths, Sambandha Abhidaya Prayojana, then you'll be eternally happy. So I'll stop there, that's my half an hour. Dandavats everyone, Vaishakapatri Vishya, Kripsa Dubhya Vichapati, the number of Vaishnava Namo Namaha.